I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
As anticipation builds for the explosive clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, Max Kellerman has shared his final verdict on the matchup. Serving as part of Netflix's star-studded broadcast team for this mega event, Kellerman adds his trademark sharp insight and historical context to what is shaping up to be one of the most significant nights in boxing history.
A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. Kellerman isn't pulling punches, declaring the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown the most watched championship fight in nearly half a century. He likens it to the iconic Muhammad Ali versus Leon Spinks rematch in 1978, which drew an astounding 90 million television viewers. With Netflix at the helm, Kellerman stresses this bout represents more than just another super fight. It signals a massive shift in boxing's global reach and financial model, with viewership expected to surpass traditional pay-per-view numbers by huge margins.
But where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight?
Yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but this will, listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be, because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in '78, and they did 90 million TV sets, 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys, oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is gonna do multiples of that. So, so when you look at it from a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever covered.
Promoter Dana White confirmed during a recent press conference that Kellerman will rejoin the broadcast booth as part of Netflix's official commentary crew for the long-awaited Canelo versus Crawford battle on September 13, 2025. The veteran analyst, known for his stints on ESPN and HBO, will sit alongside John Onek and Hall of Famer Andre Ward to call the action live from Allegiant Stadium. His return marks a major comeback to televised boxing. At a media event, Kellerman called the fight the perfect storm, praising both men as elite pound-for-pound talents. He noted Crawford currently has his vote for the best fighter alive, though Canelo held that distinction for years, emphasizing how rare it is for 2 athletes of this caliber to collide. He highlighted that historically, only 25 to 30 fighters ever achieved pound-for-pound #1 status, making this matchup an extraordinary moment.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh. We're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him, and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Former champion Timothy Bradley Jr. predicts the opening round of Canelo versus Crawford won't be fireworks, but instead a tactical chess match. He expects both fighters to stay measured early, carefully studying rhythm, timing, and distance rather than risking mistakes. Bradley points out that Crawford often begins marquee fights at a patient pace, laying traps and setting strategies. Canelo, on the other hand, typically uses early rounds to analyze opponents before making key adjustments. Bradley's assessment suggests fans should expect a cautious opening frame, with both men gathering critical intel before unleashing greater intensity in the middle and later rounds.
Feel his punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are going, trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? Let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson remains firm in his conviction that Bud Crawford will defeat Canelo and possibly even stop him. Stevenson consistently points to Crawford's elite skill set, highlighting his speed, ring IQ, and southpaw stance as decisive advantages. He's even gone as far as saying Crawford will cook Canelo, his vivid warning that the fight could turn into a one-sided showcase. Stevenson first voiced this prediction back in 2021 and has continued to double down ever since, stressing that Crawford's precision and adaptability don't just make him competitive, but the logical favorite in this high-stakes clash.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No, I think that's possible. Like I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too. So.
Crawford's unanimous decision win over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds wasn't just another title. It redefined his legacy by capturing the WBA junior middleweight crown. Making his debut at that weight, Crawford became a 4-division world champion, joining boxing's most exclusive fraternity. Even more historic, he became the first male fighter of the 4-belt era to claim undisputed status in 2 separate divisions, super lightweight and welterweight, a feat that underscores both his versatility and enduring dominance. This milestone cemented his place among the sport's all-time greats, blending adaptability, resilience, and elite-level mastery. The Madrimov fight showed more than a victory. It proved Crawford could carry his sharp timing, ring IQ, and defensive brilliance into heavier divisions against naturally bigger foes. Madrimov's reputation for strength and physicality was nullified by Crawford's patience, accuracy, and superior adjustments. He demonstrated his style isn't bound by weight classes. It scales up seamlessly. This win assured fans and critics alike that Crawford isn't just surviving at higher weights. He's thriving, solidifying his status as one of the most dangerous and versatile fighters in the game.
August of 2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147. Okay? And he's had 8 fights at 147, all knockouts, and 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168, but he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that, because that goes into his accomplishment bags. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November of 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulks. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulks. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell also underscores Crawford's rare versatility, particularly his smooth stance switches and masterful footwork. Caldwell insists Crawford's movement is one of his most underrated weapons, giving him the ability to carve angles, disrupt rhythm, and control the pace of fights. Against a pressure-heavy powerhouse like Canelo, Caldwell argues these traits could prove decisive. If Crawford can keep circling, stay mobile, and avoid being cornered on the ropes, he believes Crawford possesses the exact tools needed to frustrate Canelo and steadily pile up rounds.
When the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think he's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch. He's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, he might. I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest. And he loads up. He loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. And Crawford gets hit. He does get hit. That's why he's exciting. But he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off at an angle.
Drop your thoughts below.